Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Well, thanks for joining our pod. Certainly appreciate you downloading and listening. And if you're on YouTube, as we always say, you like and subscribe, right? Because you do. That's what you do. And you don't miss an episode, and hopefully it helps us, even though we're not a video podcast as of yet. We may get there. We're looking at that really seriously, but we're still on YouTube. I know it's kind of boring not to have a video, just a thing, but you can listen. You can do other things, you know, like I listen to a ball game while I'm cleaning my garage or washing my car. You listen to the podcast while you're taking a walk, you know, or working out. So there you go. What do you think, Michelle? Should it be video?
You know what? I think if you did both,
if you did them both.
You could listen while you wash your car, or you can watch while you're laying in bed.
Well, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Sean Casey was here from South Africa, who we met through doing this podcast. And Sean had some really good ideas. So he said he's going to help me set it up. So we'll see.
You know, it'd be cool. You could play a game.
Yeah.
Where you listen first, then you watch the podcast and see if the people looked like you imagined them.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. And I came from the radio industry where, like, I was always disappointed when I met my radio idols face to face.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of idols, I want to introduce you to our guest this week. It's Michelle Canning. Hi,
hey,
Michelle.
Everybody. Hey, Dave.
Michelle's an amazing musician, songwriter. Let me just tell you a little bit about Michelle, okay? She's a member of the Recording Academy. And if you're not familiar, they're the ones that hand the Grammys, right?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, you're there. That's amazing. I want to talk about that. Also, the International Bluegrass Music Association. The IBMA, as they say. Yeah. And you're on the Songwriter Committee there?
I sure am.
That's incredible. We need to talk about that. A graduate of Morehead State University in traditional music, but also you've got a master's in business, which I think is so important because music is a business, right?
It really is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Charted number one on the Bluegrass charts for 11 Miles album, the next 11 Miles album.
Yes, that came out in 2018, so it's been a minute.
But you produced, right?
I did produce that album.
We'll talk about that. And this I just found really fascinating. Michelle is the youngest person and the only female ever to earn the title of New England Banjo Champion, and that was back in 2009?
It was, yeah, it was way back in the day.
Wow. How old were you?
I was going into my sophomore year of high school. A matter of fact...
In high school you won this?
It was the day before my 15th birthday.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. Banjo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up on banjo. That was my number one instrument. That was the first instrument I ever learned to play, the first instrument I ever fell in love with.
Wow. And you're from originally where? Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, yep. Northeastern Massachusetts, just north of Boston.
North of Boston. Mm-hmm. Let me ask, was traditional music big in that area?
It really is. It's the kind of thing where you have to look for it, but once you find it, you can't get away from it.
I got you.
So it really, bluegrass music is extremely popular in the Boston area.
I did not know that.
Especially like in the city, like in an area called Cambridge, there's a lot of different venues that host bluegrass music.
Really?
And we even have the Boston Bluegrass Union that has put on big bluegrass festivals and jam sessions and programs for kids. I grew up in their kids' academy.
Did you?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So it's everywhere. You just got to look for it.
Now, were mom and dad into traditional music too, or all kinds of music? Or
I kind of dragged them in, kicking and
screaming.
Dragged them in. I fell in love with it because of my grandfather. He loved bluegrass music.
Really? Okay.
And when I started learning to play, of course, Mom and Dad were coming to see me perform, and so next thing you know, they started out like not so sure that they liked bluegrass, and then the next thing you know, their toes are tapping, and the next thing you know, they're singing along, and the next thing you know, they know every song.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, my dad buys a Martin so he can play with me.
Oh, did he really?
He did. He was a guitar player, but he always played electric guitar.
Oh, did he? Okay.
And rock and roll. He loved the Rolling Stones and whatnot. And after a while, he got really into bluegrass and bought a Martin just so he could play with me.
Oh, that's so cool. Wonderful. You play the banjo, you play the Martin. Huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's how we did it.
Now, you don't just play banjo. You play a bunch of different instruments, don't you?
I do. So I consider banjo my number one, but I also play guitar. I play upright bass, electric bass, and then I fiddle around on some other things, steel guitar and mandolin and whatnot.
Now, I've seen Michelle. She does a lot of writers' rounds in and around Nashville. You'll see her perform, and I love when you bring your banjo out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they go, oh, yes, play a banjo.
It's fun to bring the banjo out because everybody's up there with the guitar, and it's just something different to, kind of break up the sounds a little bit.
Yep, and then you pop up there and you start jamming along. It's always a treat. It really is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
When did you get into songwriting?
Oh, let's see. The first song I can remember writing that was a real song, not a little kid made up song. Yeah. I was in probably the 5th grade. Yeah. And I was so proud of it. And I look back on it. Why did you start
so late? I want to.
I guess I'm just a slacker, Dave.
Late in life, 5th grade. But no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's funny. I look back at it sounds like a song that a 5th grader would write. But I was so proud of it. And my music teacher would let me at recess. I was the only kid who wanted to skip recess.
Really?
At recess, he would bring me into the music room. And he would set up a little record, and he helped me make a little demo of my song.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was the coolest thing, that I had a recording of my song. And there were some days I skipped lunch so I could work on that. And I don't think he knew I was skipping lunch. I think he thought I was just at recess. But anyways, I'd come home.
Your first demo in the 5th grade. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, and then it just kind of took off from there. And then in college, we had a songwriting course, and I was first to sign up when they announced it. They started it my sophomore year. And when they announced that they were going to have a new songwriting course, I was first to sign up. I wanted in.
I am so there, right? Yeah, I would have been too.
Yep. And what was great about that was prior to that, I just wrote a song when I felt it. When it was just like, oh, that'd be a good song, I'm going to write it. Well, songwriting class forced me to write a song a week.
Wow.
And that was a lot to me.
Yeah.
Now I look back and that seems like hardly anything. I write a song a day now, at least.
I was going to say, you're in that Bill O'Hanlon kind of group that writes 200-300 songs a year, right?
I'm not quite as far as Bill. My goal for this year is 100. I try to make a goal every year just to keep myself fresh. And my goal the last couple of years have been 100, and I've exceeded it. And so this year
that's awesome.
Kind of am keeping on the same track of just 100 or more. That's my minimum.
Yeah, that's twice a week.
Exactly.
It's 2 weeks, two a week.
Right.
So that's pretty good. Bill O'Hanlon, if you don't know, I believe he was the second guest we ever had on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
So episode number 2, very prolific songwriter, also book writer. 45 books he's got out there right now. One landed him on the Oprah show, and he's in Nashville a lot. And I told him, next time you come into town, you're going to do this podcast again.
Yeah.
But he has in his mind, he wants his first major cut,
Oh, yeah.
And he's only had 98 at this point.
Is that all? He told me the other day he's taking bets as to who's going to get his 100th.
Yeah.
And I have one coming out pretty soon that he wrote with me, and I'm trying to make it his 100th. We'll see what happens.
Maybe you can time it up just right.
Maybe. We'll see.
Well, you brought it up. You've got a new record that you've done, and 2 singles now from it?
We've got 2 singles out. By the time you hear this, it'll be 3.
It'll be 3? Okay.
And actually, the third one is the one that we're hoping will be Bill's 100th. So
wow.
We'll see.
I think the timing might be pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we play this one, I want to play your latest one.
Okay.
Before we play it and get the story behind it, there's a lot of different philosophies on how to release today. There are some people that are doing one a month, one a week, record an EP of 5 or 6 and then just, pepper them out throughout the year. What's your philosophy on that?
It's something I'm still playing with and seeing what works. My last 2 albums, which, are on the older side, one came out in 2015, one came out in 2018. Both of those, I just released the whole album in one gamut.
Okay.
And I've come to learn that's not the way to do it these days.
Yeah.
People like to have something to listen to and get to know, and then have something new and exciting to listen to and get to know. So what I'm doing with this one is one a month. We're skipping December because it's the holidays. And people are going to listen to Christmas music, which, as they should. Okay. And so we're releasing September, October, November, and January.
Okay.
The first 4 singles. Then the rest of the album is going to come out in February. And then that kind of gives everybody a chance in my mind to kind of listen to the music, get to know it. It's very new music for me. It's my first country record. Prior to this, I only put out bluegrass music. So it's kind of introducing myself a little at a time, and then once they kind of really hooked in and loving it, I'm going to give them the whole gamut.
I think that's a pretty good philosophy. That's what I did. I think I did 3 singles, and then on July, I remember the date. I think it was it was definitely the 11th because I played the Bluebird that day, and I thought, well, I'll release the day I play the Bluebird. But now I think back and I go, it was just a 6-song EP, and I was thinking, well, maybe I should have just saved those and just. Yeah, but you know what? That's hindsight's 20/20.
You know,
maybe
there's no right or wrong way to do it. And the important
right?
part is that your music's out in the world for people to hear.
Exactly, and I hate to brag, but I think I've got at least 4 downloads worldwide.
I love it.
So yeah, no, it's more than that. But anyway, yeah. So there's new one that now, as of this recording,
right?
Which is right near the end of October now. "Let Me Be Lonely" is your present release.
It is, yes, sir.
Tell me about that and who you wrote it with, and a little bit about the song. We'll play the whole version right here.
All right. Well, I wrote that with Carlin Mays. She's one of my dearest friends in Nashville. One of the first co-writers that I met when I moved here. We met because she needed a banjo teacher.
Oh.
And we were at some kind of songwriting event, and she mentioned that she wanted to learn to play the banjo, and I said, well, I teach the banjo. And so we started having banjo lessons, and one day I said to her, you know, we met at a songwriting event, which tells me you're a songwriter. She said, yeah, I'm a songwriter. And I said, well, we should write together. So we started every week, we would have a banjo lesson, and then we'd write together. And that's been 5 years now of writing together every single week.
Wow. You've written a lot of songs, I bet, in that 5 years.
And she's the person that I trust with my most important songs. This particular song I wrote after my friend Aaron passed away. He passed away, he was 28 years old. This was a couple years ago.
28 years old.
This was 2 years ago. He was 28. He had undiagnosed heart disease.
Oh, no.
And passed away very unexpectedly. I was literally talking to him hours before he passed away.
No.
And it was really, really hard for me. He was my best friend. I had known him since I was 12 years old. He was in my band. We made music together. He was my prom date to the senior prom. So we really were very close. And after he passed, the Bluegrass community is a very close-knit community, which is a wonderful thing. But the result was everybody's like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Michelle's okay. And everybody's calling me and calling me and calling me. And I just wanted them to leave me alone and let me cry. And so I was talking to Carlin, and I said, you know, I've got this idea for a song, Let Me Be Lonely. I just wish people would leave me alone right now. And I know that it comes from the goodness of their heart, and I don't want to ask them to go away, but I just need to be alone. And like I said, Carlin's the person I trust with my deepest songs, and she certainly did it justice. And this is the song we came up with.
Michelle Canning, this is a Songwriter Connection podcast.
Got tired of hearing my phone ring, so I just let it die. I don't want to talk right now. I'd rather sit and wonder why the world has to tell me the time will ease the pain when I don't think I want go. Let me be lonely. Want to spend some time surrounded by these memories. Just leave me with the waters and deep memories. Let me be lonely. Let me be lonely. Let me be lonely.
Michelle Canning, she's our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Let Me Be Lonely. I get it, and I get where you're coming from when you wrote that song. And I think that's so important to hear the story behind the songs. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of gives you a new perspective of the song. And,
It does.
And I hope it's a song that people can relate to. I think, a lot of us have lost people that we love. And even since, it's been 2 years since I wrote this song, 2 years since Aaron passed, and it's come back around,
Well, in the last month, I lost a dear songwriter friend,
so
brother
sorry.
from another mother, and again, it was pretty quick, heart issue, and so I know the feeling. And you just got to take time to mourn and relax, and relax is not the word. Mourn and deal with it.
Right?
Yeah, because it's hard to imagine the world without that person.
It is. 2 years later, it's still hard to imagine the world without him.
I'm sure.
One of my biggest fears when he passed away was what's going to happen when I'm 50 years old. I've gotten married, had a family, lived all this life, and my last memory of him, he was 28. He's going to be a baby in my mind.
I never thought of it that way.
And that to this day scares me.
Wow. Powerful song, powerful record. Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
The story with you. Now, you had a funny story about how your co-writer, Carlin, she plays piano, right?
She does. She's beautiful, amazing piano player. She played piano on this. She basically any song on the record that has piano on it, she played on. My Christmas single that came out last year, she played on. Great piano player. And when we got the master back, I went to her house and I said, "Hey, you want to hear the master for Let Me Be Lonely?" And of course she did. And I started playing it for her, and there's actually video of this. If you go on my socials, it's on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, all the socials. There's a video that I took and posted where partway through the song, she looked at me and she said, "Who played piano?" And I said, "You did." And she cracked up laughing and she said, "I thought that kind of sounded like me."
Did she just not remember
She
that?
just didn't remember. You know, when we went in to record, she was pregnant. I didn't know at that time that she was pregnant. So she was newly pregnant. So maybe like the pregnancy brain kind of, she just forgot. I don't know. But
wow. She was surprised to hear that.
Yes. There's a great video of that on all the socials. M. Canning Music. Go on there. Find the title of the video is "The First Time My Co-Writer Heard the Song Part 2.
I hate those videos that go part 1 and then you can never find part 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Your style. I hate genres, right? And we always talk about it, but I think you came from that traditional background, and I know you've thrown out bluegrass, but you've had a lot of different mixtures of things that all come together to form the Michelle Canning sound, which I think is unique, and that's what I think is so important today. Don't you?
It really is important, and I'm with you. I think a genreless world would be a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to very traditional bluegrass, traditional country, not much outside of that realm.
Right.
And then, of all the things, my freshman year of college, I discovered doo-wop.
Did you really?
I sure did, and I fell in love with it.
Did you? Okay.
And I ended up recording "Breaking Up Is Hard to Do."
Oh. Wow.
As an up-tempo bluegrass song, the old Neil Sedaka song.
Neil Sedaka, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I called it Blue Up.
Blue Up, I love it.
Which is much better than Dewgrass.
Well, it depends who you talk to. No,
well, that's true.
Willie might disagree with you.
So I got really into that. And then that kind of put me down this rabbit hole of old pop music and just all these different styles that I just never really was around. And the thing I love about this record is that I'm releasing it as a country record, but it's not strictly country, and it's not strictly bluegrass, and it's not strictly pop. It's a little bit, my influences from all over kind of all mesh together, and the fact that I can have most of the songs have a banjo intro on a country record.
Cool.
Like, you don't hear
Imagine
that.
You don't hear that anymore. Yeah.
And so the fact that I can kind of blend all those influences, and it's kind of my way of saying, this is me. I'm not bluegrass. I'm not country. This is me.
I'm Michelle. Kenny.
I'm Michelle.
You are, actually. It's interesting. And I was just thinking about on a recent trip, we listened. I put on pop country radio and listened very intently because I wanted to, and I don't do that enough, I must admit. But I'm surprised how little traditional instruments that we don't hear in today's pop country sound.
Sure.
And there were songs where I just crank it up and I'd say to Patty, I go, my wife, what's country about that? What about that is makes that a country song? Mm-hmm. And the only thing I can think of is sometimes some of the lyrics, because they're dealing with, stuff that happens out in the country, and and that I guess it's lifestyle lyrics.
It is, for sure. And I think any style of music, it's going to evolve, it's going to change, and it's going to come back around.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Sure,
please don't.
Sure,
yeah.
But I think we'll go through a period where there's no fiddle and banjo, and then we'll go through a period where it's all fiddle and banjo. And things kind of come around. 90s country started making a comeback recently.
It really has. And you think of the Dixie Chicks, man. They fiddle and banjo, and
Absolutely. A matter of fact, I went to a Chicks concert.
Did you?
And I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like my record.
I should love it.
Not that I'm as good as the Chicks, but I thought that was kind of cool. Like, oh, that's like what I do.
Wow.
But
were they a big influence for you?
They were. Yeah. Growing up, I listened to them a lot, and I don't know that I ever really. I knew that there was a banjo player in the group, but I don't know that I ever really made the connection there of they are putting bluegrass elements in modern country music.
Right. And
I really didn't make the connection till I'd finished recording this album and then went to a Chicks concert.
How about that?
But I've always loved the Chicks. I've always listened to them, sung all their songs. I know the whole thing, so I just never put it together.
You had an epiphany.
I had an epiphany.
Here's a songwriter word for you today. When you're writing in a group of songs, in a group, right? So we got a co-writer. And I do this around the same dining room table a lot. And you reach a point and you're kind of stuck. And all of a sudden I got to go to the bathroom. Sometimes you just get out of the room in the second, and sometimes a solution could hit you. So I call it an epiphany.
Yes.
I don't know if I invented that, but I'll take credit for it.
There's nothing better than a good epiphany.
Epiphany, that's right. And you come back, there it is.
Yep.
And they look at you like, I don't know. What else you got? No, I'm just kidding. It's amazing how many times that happens, isn't it?
It really is. I think sometimes getting up, getting the juices flowing,
it helps.
It helps a lot.
Back away. Yeah,
sure.
Sometimes it happens. Mm-hmm. So how about another song from you? Let's do some picking here today. I wish you'd have brought the banjo, but that's my bad. I should have told you, bring your banjo.
All good. Well, I'll do a song that I wrote with Bill O'Hanlon and Greg Wilson.
Oh, two of my favorite writers.
This song is going to be coming out the end of January.
You're going to release this.
I'm going to release this, and it's going to come out with a music video, my first ever music video.
It's already shot? Did you do it already?
It's already shot. Yep,
awesome.
It's almost finished editing. We've got just a few tweaks to do on it, but
wow.
But first time I've ever filmed a music video, and I had so much fun doing it.
Now, tell me the name of the song.
This is Not Quite Mine Yet.
Not Quite Mine Yet. Okay.
It's not what you were thinking it was.
Not the one I was thinking about.
No.
Okay. You guys write a lot, don't you?
We do. We write. We try to write every other week. We don't always get there, but we try.
I like this song, though. I've heard you do this song, and
thank
I like
you.
It.
So, this is the song about my love.
The idea first, and how you wrote it.
The idea for I don't know that there's much idea besides my love life.
Which is spectacular, right? Guys at the door all the time.
Every day. Yeah, just turning them all down. It's just such a hard life to live.
It's a curse being this good looking. You know what I mean? See, people think it's easy life, but it's not, right? It's not. You have to deal with it,
But no, in all seriousness, I don't remember whose idea it was, but we got together and somebody threw out this idea and I was like, oh, that'd be fun. And the more we wrote, the funnier it got in our brains, and we might have been a little slap happy, but that's okay.
Hey, that helps sometimes.
And now that's the way I always intro this song on stage. Is here's a song about my love life.
Oh, there you go.
See that boy on the tailgate of his truck over there? Yeah, the one with the big blue eyes and the bleach blonde hair. He'll be the father of my children, the man of my dreams. Now all I gotta do is get him to notice me. I don't even know his name, but my heart's already gone up in flames. I can see it clearly, got it all laid out in my head. There's only one problem, he's not quite mine yet. We'll come home every evening after a hard day at work. We'll make dinner together, then kiss on the couch for dessert. Take the dogs for a walk, then he'll rub my feet. Yeah, boys head over heels for me, and I don't even know his name, but my heart's already gone up in flames. I can see it clearly, got it all laid out in my head. There's only one problem, he's not quite mine yet. We'll have a little brick house with a white picket fence. I guess I ought to meet him for a name, the kids. Well, I don't even know his name, but my heart's already gone up in flames. I can see it clearly, got it all laid out in my head. There's only one problem, yeah, one small problem. He's not quite mine yet. That boy's not quite mine yet.
Putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Right? That's such a clever song. Michelle Canning is our guest. We're going to take a little break, come right back, talk more.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Along with Michelle Canning today, our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. She's such a wonderful personality, and she's just a really cool person.
Well, thank you.
You know what? I love writing with you. We've written a few songs.
We have,
over the years. And what I love is you know what? Here's a little something that you may know as a songwriter already. If you do co-writes, sometimes you just do a lot of co-staring and
co-staring,
and it doesn't quite work. And you work on it, and you work on it, and you put it away, and you hope to get back to it. But it's every time we get together, we seem to come up with something and finish it.
Yeah, we're good about that. That's a good sign that you and I are good writers for one another.
I do enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bill O'Hanlon, Greg Wilson too, who you mentioned, really good at completing songs.
They are. Bill's a stickler about completing a song. He doesn't like to let one go unfinished. And I was so lucky when I first moved to Nashville. Mm-hmm. I moved into this house. I knew the landlady, but I didn't know anyone who lived there. Uh-huh. And I showed up, and who was my roommate? But none other than Bill O'Hanlon. Well, and he has taught me so much. He has elevated my songwriting in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so lucky to have had the opportunity. If I hadn't lived with Bill, I don't know that my writing would be where it is today, because he really has taught me so much. And I've learned a boatload from writing with him, and we've teamed up, and we've always got little side projects going that we're trying to write for this one or that one, or and
you do a lot of sync writing, don't you?
We do a little bit. Bill does more sync writing than I do, but I love a good Christmas song. So Bill and I and Lucy LeBlanc, we have a little group.
I've heard that name a few times.
We have a little group called the Jingle L's, because we all have two L's in our name.
The Jingle L's. I love it.
And the Jingle L's, we write exclusively Christmas. Oh. The reason being that they can pitch it for sync, and I can use it for country.
Oh, I got you.
And it works either way, because it's a Christmas song. Christmas doesn't have a genre.
Well, there you go. I guess it's kind of its own genre, like I've been saying.
Yeah.
You should be your own genre. That's awesome. Well, that's a great idea.
We love doing it, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the Recording Academy that you work for. How'd you get involved with that? Those are the guys that hand out the Grammys, right?
I got involved with that through Darren Vincent of Daly and Vincent.
Daly and Vincent?
Yeah.
You know those guys?
Yeah, I've known Darren for a long time, and Rhonda, his sister, Rhonda Vincent, even
Rhonda
longer.
Vincent, yeah.
And I met them at their family's Bluegrass Festival out in Greentop, Missouri.
Wow.
When I was in middle school, Rhonda Vincent was and still is my hero.
Is she?
And
About time we got her in the Opry, wasn't it?
I know. Tell me about it.
Finally.
And
now, if we can get Jeannie Seeley into the Country Music Hall of Fame, we'll be...
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Jeannie Seeley for Halloween tomorrow.
Are you really?
I sure am.
Oh,
Anyways,
awesome.
I'm getting off topic.
Yes, me too.
I have a very...
I got you.
I got a tendency to
Squirrel.
do that. Squirrel train! But anyways, so I've known them since I was a little girl, and where was I going? Oh, so in middle school, I was just totally... Rhonda Vincent obsessed. I'd come home every day after school and put her little video in the DVD player and watch it. That was just my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for my 8th grade graduation, my parents wrapped up a picture of Rhonda Vincent with a little sticky note speak bubble. And it said, "Hey, Michelle, would you like to meet me in Missouri this summer?"
Ooh.
And they brought me to her family's festival in Missouri.
Wow, how about that?
And I not only met her, but she invited me to perform on stage with her.
No kidding.
And I was on
And you're how
Cloud
old?
9. I was 13.
13.
I was on Cloud 9 for years.
And that's it.
I think I still am. And
How about that?
so anyway, so I met her. I met Darren there and some others as well. And then Darren, of course, is a member of the Opry, as is Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working at the Grand Ole Opry about 5 years ago.
I was just going to say, you work at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
What's that like? Do you love it?
Oh my gosh, I love every minute of it. It's
I'll
such
bet.
a cool place to be. And where I was going with that is, sometimes I'm backstage with the artists, and we're not supposed to,
Fraternize.
right? Yeah,
Unless they talk to you.
We can't be gurmy, but
Right.
but part of my job is I walk some of the artists from their dressing room to what we call the circle room, and Darren is one of the artists that I often walk. So one day I'm walking Darren to the circle room, and we're just chatting, and he said, "Are you a member of the Recording Academy?" And I said, "No." And he said, "You should be. I'm going to nominate you."
Huh.
Next thing you know, like a week later, I get a thing in my inbox. "You've been nominated to be a member of the Recording Academy. If you want to do it, fill out these forms." So I filled out the forms, and boom!
Why not?
Here I am, a member of the Recording Academy.
So what do you do as a member of the Recording Academy?
Not a whole lot. I vote for the Grammys.
You vote for the Grammys?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're the one.
It's all
Can your
my
vote
fault.
be bought? No, I'm just kidding.
But it's a pretty cool organization
Yeah.
to be a part of. They have a lot of opportunities for their members. They have workshops and
good.
networking opportunities, and they have programs for people who maybe are musicians and need health care and things like that. They have a
good.
lot of opportunities
And I
for
think
sure.
that's just great work there.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Awesome. So the Opry, when you walk in there, even as to work, like I worked at the Ryman for a while, and it never got old. I'd walk
Yeah.
into the Ryman and just smell the air, and I could just feel the greatness around me. Do you get that same feeling walking into?
I really do, especially
yeah.
when I walk into the auditorium and I see the circle in the middle of the stage,
Oh.
or walk a tour group across the stage, and my feet walk right across that circle, and
Oh, yeah.
I can
Yeah.
feel the energy of the artist just seeping up through that wood
You
into the soles of my shoes.
I know it sounds funny, but you can.
You really can.
And if listening, maybe you don't know this, but that circle was carved out of the original Ryman stage, the old Mother Church of Country, where that was before the new Opry House. They were at Ryman Auditorium,
Right.
And that is hallowed ground. Right
It
there.
really is.
Yeah.
I mean, people like Hank Williams.
Yeah.
Brad Paisley said that the dust from Hank Williams' boots is still in that circle of wood. How amazing is that?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Makes you never want to wash your shoes again.
It doesn't.
You might wash away Hank.
I know that sometimes on the tour at Ryman, we would walk people across the stage. Is that part of the tour this year at the Opry House?
It is, as long as we have the stage available, which most of the time
not
we
always
do.
you do,
Right.
because they're setting up a show or something.
Sure.
Yeah. So people can actually walk into the circle sometimes.
Yeah. absolutely.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that awesome? Now, what do you do there? You're like a lead?
I am a supervisor over the tour guides.
Okay.
So I started as a part-time tour guide.
See, I'd have been working for you.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been trying to listen, we've got openings.
I really wish I could fit it. I loved working at Ryman Auditorium.
Oh, yeah.
I was probably one of the best, right up there as one of the best jobs I ever had.
For sure.
And they just treated you so well.
Yeah.
And I love meeting new people and telling the stories behind
oh my gosh,
those wonderful stars that grace that stage.
It's so wonderful when you have a guest come in and you know that they love, XYZ star, and you've got a story about that person.
Don't you love that?
And to see their faces light up, or to show them, we have Carrie Underwood's shoes backstage, and you find a big Carrie Underwood fan, and you're like, here, I'm going to show you something special, and you bring her and show her Carrie's shoes, and, just to make somebody feel so good.
Oh, yeah.
That's the most rewarding part of the job.
I have to agree with you. That is the most rewarding part.
It really is.
Yeah. That's cool. I can tell you enjoy it.
I do.
Yeah. How about we enjoy another song from you?
Sure, let's do it.
I want to talk about one in particular.
Is it one that's going to make you cry?
Well, that one there, yeah. And I think you know the one I'm talking about. And the reason why I bring it up is because it's come up on this podcast a couple of times. We've had Steve Block on the show. We're going to get Greg Wilson's story on this song, but it's a song that's been pitched around a lot here in Nashville.
Yeah.
The first time I knew Steve, but we went to dinner one night, and first words out of his mouth were, "Have you heard this song? Blah blah." And I go, "Have I heard it? That song is people are gonna be fighting over that song."
Oh, thank you.
I just signed that song. I'm like, well, good, get it cut because it deserves to be.
Yeah.
And it was you and Greg and Bill O'Hanlon. Mm-hmm. Is that the one you were gonna play? Now that I set it up,
it is. Yeah, that worked out nicely, didn't it?
See, I have a way of stepping into it all the time.
I
ask people to play a song, and they go, "I can't play that one because I wasn't ready."
I'm always ready.
Yeah, when you do these rounds, I like to prepare. I like to, know what songs I'm going to play, practice them a few times, and then you get up on stage and goes, "Play this one," and you go, "I didn't practice that one." So
no, I gotcha.
Tell the story from your point of view. And,
so this song came from the brainchild of Greg Wilson.
Was it? Okay.
And I would really love to just have his brain for a day.
Yeah, I would too.
Because he is the most brilliant songwriter I think I know.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And the thing that, Bill and Greg and I were talking about this actually last night. We had a co-write last night. We were talking about this.
Really?
When we write a song that we know from the beginning where it's going to go, it comes out okay. But when we take this random title that we can't quite figure out how to make it work, the three of us fall in love with it.
Wow.
And we get really into it. And that's when we get our best songs.
Wow.
And
that is a really good point.
It is. And I joke around with Bill. We wrote a song called Textual Chemistry. And it's the only weird song we've ever written that Bill doesn't like. So I'm always joshing him about it. But it's those titles that you just don't know what to do with.
Right.
And
you explore all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Going to the nooks and crannies. And
right.
Is this working? Is that what if we did this? Could it be about this? Mm-hmm. You're right.
And
that lights
funny.
me up as a writer.
Sometimes I'll leave a co-write and I talk on the phone with my mom every night. She's up in Massachusetts and we'll talk on the phone. And sometimes I'll leave a write and I'll call her and she'll say, what'd you write about? And I'll tell her and she say, well, whose idea was that? And I'll say, it was mine or it was so-and-so's. Mm-hmm. But every time I write with Bill and Greg and we get this great song, she'll say, whose idea was that? And I'll say, well, I don't know. It kind of started as Greg's idea, but then Bill had a different angle on it, and then I kind of twisted Bill's angle a little bit, and then that caused us to change the title of the hook. and the really honest answer is it was all of our ideas.
All of your ideas. Wow.
And this was one of those instances where Greg came in, the title of the song is Wake Up Call. Mm-hmm. Greg came in with the idea Wake Up Call, and he said, I was thinking we could do something with a literal wake up call at 2 a.m, but then like a figurative wake up call. And we were like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. And we started talking about ideas, and I was pretty adamant that somebody had to die. They were pretty adamant that nobody had to die. In the end, somebody died. Well, we kind of leave it ambiguous. We don't know if anyone died. But anyways, that's irrelevant. But we just kind of all started talking and talking and talking. And we spent probably 3 hours that night getting like a chorus.
Really?
And then we got together again and again and again. And it was just so worth the amount of time that we put into this song.
Not all songs will start with a chorus when you start the writing process.
Right.
But you chose this time to nail that chorus down first?
I don't know if we chose it or if that's just how it happened.
Just how it happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be honest, I don't remember, was it a chorus, was it a verse? But
yeah.
I mean, with that 3 hours, we didn't get even close to a full song is kind of where I was going with that.
Okay. And eventually it would become the chorus.
Right.
Gotcha.
And
see, that's important to me as a songwriter.
Yeah.
That's why we do the nuts and bolts.
But yeah, and we worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and then we got it real close, but it wasn't quite there. Mm-hmm. And Bill and I were going to Muscle Shoals, Alabama for the Muscle Shoals Songwriting Festival.
Yeah.
And we rented a little Airbnb. It was me and Bill and Steve Block and George. I don't know George's last name, but he's not really relevant to the story. Okay. So Bill and I, we played it over and over and over. If we weren't at the festival, we were at the house working on this song.
Wow.
And for 3 days straight.
Wow.
And Greg would send us a version, and we would work on it, and tweak it and send it back to him. Then he'd work on it and tweak it and send it back to us just in time for us to get out of our workshops that day and come home and work on it some more. Wow. I don't think I've ever spent so much time together all at one time on a song. I mean,
one single song.
All weekend. We skipped some of the festival to work on this song.
Wow.
And toward the end of the week, we said to Steve, hey, can we play the song we've been working on? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, sure. We played it for him, and he just started crying.
Did he really?
And that's when we knew this is the one.
Wow.
And not to say we didn't tweak it more after that, but that was when we decided this was the closest to the version we were going to end up with at that point. And
wow.
So yeah.
Well, let's hear it.
All right.
It's a powerful song.
My phone rang at 2 a.m. from a number I didn't recognize. But when it rang again, I answered it, and a little voice just said hi. He said, I didn't know your number, so I just took a guess. 'Cause the man on the TV said, you can always call on Jesus. Well, that caught me by surprise, and I sat up in my bed. He thought heaven was on the other end, so I just listened when he said, Jesus, I'm so scared, and I'm so glad you're there. I've been holding on to my teddy bear. I've been saying all my prayers. He said, I keep shaking Mama, but she won't wake up at all. And I knew that you would help us, 'cause you're the man up on the cross. There's an empty bottle by her head and some red pills on the floor. He said, I've been eating Captain Crunch, but there isn't any more. And as his little voice was trembling, my heart was breaking inside. I didn't know what else to do, so I spoke like Jesus was on the line. I said, I know that you're scared, but buddy, I'm right here. Keep holding on to your teddy bear. I heard every prayer. Everything's gonna be okay. Don't you worry at all. I'm sending someone to help you, but until then, let's just talk. Well, I copied down his number. My wife called 911 in tears. And when he heard them knocking on his door. He said, Jesus, I think your angels are here. And I hit my knees. Jesus, I've been living scared, like I didn't have a prayer. It's been a while since I've talked to you, almost forgot that you were there. But tonight you woke me up. I've been asleep for way too long. I felt your spirit move right through me, and Jesus, I stand in awe. It took a scared little boy's random late night call. Oh, but maybe it wasn't random after all. God, I woke up when I got my wake-up call.
The wake-up call. Michelle Canning, our guest. That is a powerful song.
Thank you very much.
You know, I remember the first time I heard it when he said, Jesus, your angels are here. That's when I busted.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's
amazing
a gut punch line, and my favorite line of the song, and this was Bill's brainchild, was, I've been eating Captain Crunch, but there isn't anymore. That just, when Bill typed that in, we had a Google Doc going, you know, where we could all see each other typing, and we were all trying to come up with the rhyme, and I just saw Bill's cursor type those words, and it just, before I even heard him sing it, it just hit me.
Yeah.
That's the line.
Yeah, that's powerful. Absolutely. So no, you never really said whether she lives or dies. And
we never did say, yeah.
I hate killing people in songs, even fictional people.
You know, I grew up in Bluegrass, so I love killing people in songs.
It's a little different in Bluegrass, isn't it? Oh, man. Yeah. Well, I had a dear friend and co-writer who just wanted to kill everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Every song. Well, what if they died?
You know, it's
what if
funny.
they didn't?
Do you know the Joe Diffie song, A Night to Remember?
Yes.
Okay, so that song, it's very ambiguous about, you know that she's gone, but you don't know why.
Yeah.
And the way I always heard it was that she died. Mm-hmm. And the way my mother always heard it was that they were in a relationship and she left him.
Oh, okay. Well.
And we argued about it for years. So one day I had the opportunity to meet Joe Diffie with my mom.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is our opportunity to find out the truth.
Yeah.
And that poor man probably thought he met the weirdest woman of his life. Because I walked up to him and I said, oh, I really like your music. It's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, can I ask you a question? And he said, sure. And I said, the song A Night to Remember, did she leave him or did she die? And he said, well, it could go either way, but I always sung it like she died. And I turned around and I started jumping up and down and looked at my mom and went, she died, she died. And I can guarantee you he went home that night and said to his wife, well, honey, I met this girl today.
Jumping out. That's hilarious. My goodness.
But I was just so excited that I interpreted it right.
That is so awesome. Wow. It's incredible. I was thinking about, was it the Billy Curtin song, is What Brings You to Mohio?
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like he's Mohio in this song. And everyone was like, what's Mohio? I think it's just the way he sang it. Right? They eventually went back in the studio and changed it. If you hear the newer versions today, he's clearly Ohio. You know? What was that song? That was the one about the guy in the bar that leaves him all his money, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it, but yeah. That was a good song.
It was a good song. But so is the wake-up call.
Oh, well, thank you.
And it breaks some rules. And I always say, don't be afraid to break rules, but know the rules. You should know the rules,
Sure.
When you have a hook, sometimes it's really good to, repeat that hook a few times. And usually it comes in the chorus, and it's, it could be boxed. It could be the start of the chorus, the end of the chorus.
Right.
Or it could be the last thing in the chorus, which is so powerful if you do it right and you pull that rug right out like a good joke. You set it up and then boom, and you hit him with that line. The wake-up call doesn't come to the very end of the song.
Yeah, and it didn't always. Originally, even though the chorus changed every time, every chorus ended with, God, I woke up when I got that wake-up call.
Yeah.
And when we played it for Steve, he said, that might hit home a little harder if you save it till the very end. And we were like, can you do that?
It's against the rules,
It's
right?
against the rules, but, rules are made to be broken. And so we tried it, and we were iffy on it at first, and then after a while, we started finding that actually we really liked that.
Good.
And
yeah. Now, the other rule, it's sometimes, again, they say, don't change the chorus.
Yeah.
Keep the chorus the same throughout, because the whole idea was people hear it the first time, and it's real memorable and it's singable. And the second time it comes on, they start to sing. And by the third time you do that chorus, they're all singing along with you.
Right.
But see, this isn't that kind of song, is it?
No, it's not. And to be honest, I don't even remember when we made that decision to not have the same chorus. I don't know if it was from the beginning or if at some point we were like, well, this chorus doesn't work anymore.
No, yeah. Well, no, and it progresses the story along.
It does. Yeah, it's the kind of song that it's really less about being a song and more about a story with a lesson.
It is a story. It definitely is. And I think we need more story songs in
I love a good story song.
In music.
And I envy people who are great storytellers, great story songwriters.
Yeah, I do too.
That's my dream. If Bobby Gentry,
I was just thinking Fancy. Oh, to Billy Joel.
Yeah.
I mean,
both of those are amazing. A matter of fact, both of them are in I have a playlist called Songs I Wish I Wrote.
Oh, boy.
And both of those songs are in that playlist.
Both of them.
And Fancy to me is and always will be my number one favorite song because she made a prostitute look good.
Yes, she did.
And
then Reba did too.
And then Reba did it too. And I just that song is such amazing storytelling, and that's what I strive for.
And that is a good point. We always talk about finding a way. You're right. The story about a prostitute, right? And they twisted it to make it. She became a heroine in that, really. Yeah. So, what an interesting idea to write a song and say, we're going to take something that seems really bad and taboo and we're going to legitimize it.
And to have that mindset, if I had never heard that song before and I decided I'm going to write a song about a prostitute, it'd be a song about a prostitute, it'd be exactly what you expect it to be.
Right.
But for her to have that mindset to the way I picture it, and I don't know how she wrote the song. I've never heard any interviews with her or anything. And I would love to, but
yeah, me too.
The way that I picture it is that she was driving down the street and there was a prostitute on the side of the road, and she thought, I wonder how she got there.
Yeah.
And then she made up a story of how she got there.
That's something.
And then she got her out of it.
Yes,
how amazing is that?
That's the power of a song, right there.
It really is. And it's got me thinking, now I see people and I'm like, I wonder how they got there. And then I don't write Fancy or anything close to it, but I try, And I think I'm always going to be striving for that. Fancy is my goal. I'm always going to be striving for that song.
And you'll kill him in the song and you'll say, I see dead people.
That's right.
That was a real stretch. I'm sorry. But wow. Yeah. Good points. All good points. And that song, I'm telling you, that song deserves to be cut. And I still believe in my heart that there's people fighting over that.
I hope so one day.
That should be on the radio. It's one of those off the road songs when you hear them. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, that's one of the most amazing songs I've heard in this town in
Thank
a long,
you very much. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's true. You guys are a great team. So.
Well, thank you.
And I just love getting to know you a little bit better.
Me too.
Yeah, man, you've been wonderful as a guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
I hope you'll do one more song for us to take us out.
Absolutely.
Oh, but before we go, tell us where we can find you online and everything and hear your music. It's available everywhere except in stores, I suppose, at least.
That's right. That's right. It is available anywhere where you get your music except Walmart. And but no, seriously, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, YouTube, all the things.
Michelle with 2 L's.
Michelle with 2 L's, canning like a canning jar, not like a boom boom cannon.
Okay.
And I'm on all the socials, M Canning Music.
Okay.
And on my website, michellecanning.net.
Awesome.
And if you do want a physical CD, if you're old fashioned like me, that will be out in February.
Awesome.
And you can order that right on the website.
Put me down for one, but you got to sign it for me.
You got it.
All right. What you taking us out with?
Let's see. I'll take you out with one that's another one that I wrote with Carlin Mays, and this is called Tipsy.
All right.
If it looks like I'm blushing, it's just the rosé. And if I keep smiling at you, it's 'cause I don't know what to say. The ghosts of my past keep my expectations low, so here we go. I think it's kinda cute that you were so persistent, but don't think this is going anywhere, 'cause it isn't. I don't have time to get lost in your French wine fantasy. We can dance, but don't you dare sweep me off my feet. I'm not drunk on your love, but a lick kiss me, 'cause I'm a little bit tipsy. I've been staying single, trying to get to know myself, but something about you made me pull these heels down from the shelf. So I'm taking a chance, but I'm taking it slow. Just so you know, I don't have time to get lost in your French wine fantasy. We can dance, but don't you dare sweep me off my feet. I'm not drunk on your love, but a lick kiss me, 'cause I'm a little bit tipsy. Is it the sunset skyline or the way you laugh with your eyes? If I'm not careful, you might change my mind. And I don't have time to get lost in your French wine fantasy. We can dance, but don't you dare sweep me off my feet. I'm not drunk on your love, but I'll let you kiss me, 'cause I'm a little bit tipsy. Yeah, I'm a little bit tipsy. I'm a little bit tipsy.
Beautiful. That's Michelle Canning. A little bit
Thank
tipsy.
you.
Huh? Yeah. You're right about me. It could be a little bit ditzy.
Oh.
Next one.
Love it.
Write that one down.
You got it. Me and you will write it.
Sounds good. Michelle Canning's been our guest. Thanks for joining us on this Songwriter
Thank
Connection.
you for having me, Dave.
Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.